Hi, everybody. Okay, so as promised, this is the email from Joanne Unger. Um, as you can see, it says, um, Hi, Susan. I couldn't find the handout, so I typed it out again for you. I think this will be helpful. And it says, Couple negotiate timeout. Um, Now, Owen knew about this email, and how I know that he knew about this email is because Joanne Unger also sent me another email later on. I think it was about a week later, saying on how it was nice to see both Owen and me, and talked about our session, and of course, couple's time out, the handout got brought up. So I know he knew about it. Um, and if need be, I can bring that email out as well. Um, but we're gonna dive into this. Um, so the reason I'm bringing this up is because um, he said that I kicked him out. I didn't kick him out. It goes to one more lie in the court documents, right? So I asked for my space. He said that we talked about that not being a thing anymore. No, we didn't talk about it. He said it wasn't a thing anymore. And just like everything else, um, if he says something, it's just supposed to be, right? So, okay, so let's talk about this. So this is the handout that Joanne Unger gave. Um, So, step one, awareness. Learn to recognize initial cues that anger is escalating. Partners will have different comfort levels with intense emotion. One may be ready for a timeout before the other. Both partners take ownership of those responses. So, in the awareness stage, that's when somebody is saying, okay, I can't deal with this. I need space. Step two, stay within a workable zone. Decide when anger has escalated past the point of being productive and a timeout is needed. Either partner may initiate a timeout. Again, that's part of that. Step three, signaling. The indicator signal a timeout using the hand gesture, such as T, symbol saying in a calm voice, I'm going to take a timeout, or I need my space. Negotiate a select negotiate and select the signal that is clear and not threatening. I think I need my space is pretty non-threatening. Um, Sorry, just give me 1 second here. Step four, the other partner acknowledges the timeout, plans ways to resist the urge to continue the argument. Step five, disengaging partners go separate locations, which is what I had tried to do. Negotiate for a specific location, plans for caring for the children, amount of time needed, and for timeout. So in this, I didn't show you guys this, but I do have a text message from the actual day. So later that day, after he left, I actually asked him to come back so that we could talk about it, and he refused. And um, I can always bring out that email. I think it's in court documents, anyways, and when we go over the court documents, you'll actually see it. Um, but for the time being, we'll just leave it like this. So step six, cooling off. Partner who initiates timeout or both spend time doing calming activities. Step three, returning. Partners reconnect and continue discussion if calm. Partners know they have the option of taking another timeout or tabling the discussion till later. Okay, so those are the steps. But my why I'm bringing this up is, you know, if somebody is asking for space, that is because they recognize the fact that they're having a hard time coping with the intense emotions, right? Which is pretty much what we're saying here, or that they just need a time to process, think, figure out the best way to handle things, right? So, which was what I was trying to do. Um, but when the other partner says, well, we're not giving each other space anymore. I'm not doing the space thing anymore. What they're actually saying is, I'm not going to respect you enough to let you have some time by yourself so that you can actually think about things, process them, to um to so that you can approach things in a positive, productive way, right? What they're saying is that they don't respect you. You cannot have space, that um, it needs to be their way, and what you want and need does not matter. That is the message being sent when you tell somebody you need your space and they say that they're not going to do that anymore. So let's talk about domestic violence, power and control, and abusive relationships. So here, um, this is kind of a this is actually from I believe the United Way puts this out along with some other partners. But I found this resource and I thought, you know what, this is really good. This really applies to what I'm talking about. So, um, okay, so let's go through this. First of all, let's go through it starting with using coercion and threats. Making and carrying out threats to do something or hurt, threatening to leave her, to commit suicide, to report her to welfare, making her drop charges, making her do illegal things. Okay, those are all relevant, but threats can be other things too. They can be like threatening to not let you speak to your children, threatening to take away your children and not let you see them. It could be threatening to take away property, or um, um, threatening to make it hard so that you can't work. Those kind of things. Um, Using intimidation. I'll let you read that. Using emotional abuse, putting her down, making her feel bad about herself, calling her names, making her think she's crazy, playing mind games, humiliating her, making her feel guilty. So, those are things that he has done throughout the course of the past 3 years. And you can actually see it in the latest email that he sends me in regards to the kids. Um, where where he says, you have trouble following instructions. You know, that is that kind of wording, that kind of tone in the email, that's not intended to make anybody feel good about themselves. It's not intended to portray a positive note. That is intended to put somebody down. That is emotional abuse. Using isolation, controlling what she does, who she sees, talks to, what she reads, where she goes, limiting her outside involvement, using jealousy to justify actions. So, using isolation can also be something like um, trying to sever ties with family, like children, minimizing, denying, blaming, making light of abuse and not taking her concerns about it seriously, saying the abuse didn't happen, shifting responsibility for the abuser behavior, saying she caused it. So he right presently, now this isn't in relation to chapter 4, but presently it is April 25th, 2023, and I'm right now being denied access to my children. I'm right now being denied the ability to talk to my children by him. And he's blaming me because I'm choosing to speak out. I'm choosing to raise awareness because I feel the Manitoba court system has failed. Um, I feel the federal government has failed. Um, and realistically, I'm not the only person. There are other people in Manitoba who have been denied their constitutional rights for a lawyer, who were recipients of legal aid, and legal aid couldn't find them a lawyer in time, and the custody or trial went ahead without. Now, that is a breach of their constitutional rights, but because I'm choosing to speak out, because I'm choosing to try and raise awareness, I'm now not allowed to talk to my kids because I'm choosing um, to say, you know what? No, that is not okay. You do not get to treat me like I'm something under your shoe and talk down to me in those tones. He decided that I'm only allowed to talk to my kids twice a week. When I called police to talk to them about it and to do well being checks, he then decided that I'm not allowed to see them at all or talk to them at all. Hence, he has chosen to violate a court order and cut off all contact with the kids with me. Um, Using children, making her feel guilty about the children, using the children to relay messages, using visitation to harass her. So he's using visitation as a way to try and manipulate and control. He is using phone calls as a way to try and manipulate and control. Threatening to take away the children. That sounds familiar. Um, and I mean that, meaning that is exactly what he's doing. Using male privilege, treating her like a servant, making all the big decisions, acting like the master of the castle, being the one to define men's and women's roles. Well, that could be seen too when he says, I told you to call at 7 p.m., not 5:30. What difference does it make? Anyways, it makes a difference to me because sometimes I work in the evenings. But if he's home with the kids, or his parents are, which somebody would have to be, right? What difference does it make what time I call? Using economic abuse, preventing her from getting or keeping a job. Well, he did that with daycare, but we'll talk about that later. Making her ask for money, giving her an allowance, taking her money, not letting her know about um, or how to access family income. Okay, well those ones don't really apply here, but they're good to know regardless. So that gives you kind of like a little bit of an insight to domestic violence, power and control, um, and what abuse could potentially look like. And we've ticked off a few things on what has happened, right? Now, at this point, it's only chapter 4, chapter 5, so you might not be able to see that right away. But keep this wheel in mind, and I'm going to refer to it on occasion throughout throughout the chapters. I also referred to this in another post too. It's from Abigail Brender, MD. It's from Psychology Today, and it's entitled 10 10 red flag warnings, signs of abuse, the anatomy of an unhealthy one-sided relationship. So, and it goes on, it talks about the attempt to control all aspects of a person's life, violating privacy, like listening into somebody's phone calls, treating you with disrespect or blaming, shaming, and putting you down. Um, we'll talk more about that in numerous emails. Blaming you for bad behavior. We'll talk about that in numerous emails and chapters. Destroying your personal possessions, inability to show compassion towards anyone, but especially the other person. Um, Pressures you to engage in what's important to them at the expense of what's important to you. Yeah. There was one here that I don't think I hit, and it was the isolation one. Well, number seven's missing. Is it missing or is it just. Oh, it must have cut off. Huh, interesting. Okay, well, I might have to put that back up later on, but there's number 7 is um, threatening you with harm or alternatively hurting themselves. But there's also an isolation one. Where's the isolation one? Oh, number 3 is isolation. How did I skip that? Huh, it's not. It didn't scan everything. Well, that's bizarre. Okay, well, in the next post, I will copy a PDF of it, and that way you guys can see it. Anyways, that's it for tonight. You guys have a good night, and we will talk more on abuse and what happened next. The next thing that I want to talk about is what happened the weeks that followed this. Okay, you guys have a good night or good morning by the time you guys see this.